because of what's in this bag. Looks like a normal booklet, but it's actually my first comic ever. I created this over about 2 months for the 18th International MANGA Award competition in Japan. It was my first comic ever created. The most I've done is study some figure drawings, and I went from that to full-on story, like roughly 18 pages, all the panels drawn, not sure if you can see that, and just a lot of learning. I've spent a lot of time looking at the Clip Studio Paint forums, watching YouTube tutorials on how to do things, how to set up panels, how to do shading, and I'm still doing things wrong. This was a really fun process though. Infuriating at times, but it was fun. Definitely something I could see myself doing again, and I actually do want to do it again. It just so happens that the competition I want to do, which is the silent manga audition, the deadline is like pretty much the same as the International Manga Award. I found out about this at the Cherry Blossom Festival in San Francisco's Japantown. There was just a random booth from their, I guess, cultural center. I think something to do with the Japanese embassy or consulate, and I just saw a flyer. I checked the QR code, found all the instructions. There are a lot of instructions, and I did it. I still can't believe I've done it, and now I have a physical copy of my own work. Definitely something that is going to mean a lot to me. I'm going to have this like by my nightstand or on a shelf, like propped up. There's a lot that I learned. A lot about storytelling, a lot about pacing, a lot about just the technical stuff, like what point font to use so that your comic is readable when you finally get it printed. And it was also hard contacting printers. I did one online source and I found one actual physical printing company, a small shop in the nearby city, in the Chinatown. And it's literally like in a back alley, not really a back alley, but a side alley, just filled with printers and printed materials. And it was an amazing learning experience. And I think the biggest takeaway from this is it took me 2 months to come up with a story, to draw it out. Well, first to storyboard it, then to draw it out, then to add the shading and the detail, then to add the speech bubbles, and then to get it printed and submitted. I'm just thinking to Shonen Jump, which I read at least every other week. If I might miss a week here and there, but I try to do it for weekly. And they're doing roughly the same amount of pages I did, 18 in a week. Pretty much condensing my work through like 6 times or 8 times. I started the end of April and I finished the end of June, so roughly 2 months. I don't count it as exactly 2 months because some things happened. I actually took a break in the middle of creating it. Like I just stopped and didn't work on it because I wanted to build a cosplay for FanimeCon, which was at the end of May. So I stopped for like 2 weeks, built out that cosplay. Then after the con, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get after it. I caught COVID. I essentially lost 3 weeks, so I plan on losing 2 weeks, and it was a race to the deadline. I finished my submission process on July 1st, and the deadline is July 5th. Now keep in mind, I'm in America, so it might have been the start until July 2nd in Japan when I finally submitted. And I have some concerns about it. Like, they prefer that you submit a physical copy, one physical copy and one electronic copy. When you complete your application, and you then have to set up an appointment to drop off the physical copy, and then within a week they'll send you the email to submit your electronic work. I'm not sure what's up with that, but maybe it's to consolidate things. I feel like it'd been easier if I just submitted along with the online application where I fill in my name and address and all that stuff. So I finished the end of June, got it printed roughly the last week of June, like maybe the 25th or 26th. Had it dropped, I filled out the application probably the morning after, was able to set up an appointment at the consulate, drop off the physical copy that same day. Then they say, hey, wait for a week or so and get the online form. I had to actually call in because I hadn't heard anything in about 4 days, and we're approaching July 4th in America, which is going to be a day that I'm pretty sure the consulate wouldn't be open. No one would be there. It was kind of a race against time because I also have a flight back to home where my family is for July 2nd. I'm filming this the night of July 1st. Like, my flight is in 7 hours and I am exhausted. So the last week has really just been waiting and waiting and waiting, and then rushing to the consulate, to the embassy, and back. And then they said you have to print out the confirmation email, which was, I don't know. But it's all done now. I have my first comic. I will probably share it in the description, and people can leave feedback. I know that I need work on my anatomy, art in general, and the manga-ness of it, but I'm happy with where I am at this point. You know, this has been a wild past 2 months, and I'm ready for a break. I do also have to shout out some people. There's a friend of mine, Calvin, who was really a driving force behind this. Because when I first saw the flyer, I was like, okay, I'll come up with a story idea. I kid you not, a week and a half, 2 weeks had passed, and I could not settle on a story idea. And I was thinking, I'll do something actiony, and I'll show off my ability to draw, and I'll show off all this cool stuff. And he's like, and I didn't have anything, so he got me to just write. I just opened a doc and just wrote whatever came to mind. And that, in like pretty much a night, I had the basis of the story that I'm submitting today. It was crazy just writing. Not trying to get everything perfect first try, just putting bullet points down. And I'm not gonna lie, some of the bullet points changed, some of the bullet points weren't in the final story. But it got me from nothing to an outline. Also, shout out to a friend of mine named Sarah for being kind of a art sounding board. I would send like panels and she'd give me feedback. Calvin also did this. They were kind of the two voices on my shoulder. Shout out to some of the friends I met in the Bay Area anime and gaming group. Specifically Steven and Gerald. They gave me some feedback as well and were in my corner. That was huge. But yeah, thank you to everyone that helped out and supported and got me off my ass. This is still can't believe that this is a thing.